Good morning, podcast world. This is Angie Hughes with Producers XL, and we're bringing to you live our June podcast. And I got to thinking. Last Friday we celebrated the first day of summer, and here in Kansas we brought it in like a really hot, windy oven. It's getting really warm here and really windy. And I got to thinking, you know what? Summer brings in a lot of fun activities, barbecuing and boating and camping and family reunions and all kinds of fun activities that we do throughout the summer. And so, we have a tendency to see between family vacations and taking time off and enjoying the summer weather, right? We kind of see a dip, a little bit of a valley in the production as it goes through, kind of rolling into July. We've got holidays that go on, things of that nature. And so, production kind of just starts to slide a little bit. And then once we get the kiddos back in school, after Labor Day, we kind of start to see everybody gets back to work. And I got to thinking, this is the right time to be filling the pipeline. So, and what I mean by that is one of the things that we all struggle the most with is prospecting. Now, some of you, and I find it really interesting because we work with property and casualty agents and financial advisors and credit unions and banks and things of that nature. And everyone says, well, that's just a built-in gold mine. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, because if you think about it, if you have a book of business, you have a book developed on a certain solution, right? Whether it's life insurance, it's long-term care, it's Medicare, right? It's property and casualty, it's financial plan, it's money, it's money under management. We all have our specialties. It's really difficult these days for us to wear all hats and be really good at wearing all of those hats. So, right, you need somebody behind you supporting some of the things that maybe you don't lean into the most. And so I thought it would just be a really good idea to have a conversation about what do we do to fill our pipeline, because we really should make our businesses work while we are not working, if that makes any sense. You really should constantly have content, stuff, emails, postcards, mailers, text messages, you name it. You really should have all of that stuff working for you all year round. And so as we start to take a little dip in production, we really need to be filling that pipeline. And we need to think about running campaigns. So whether you have your own book of business or you're looking to develop your own book of business, the year is 2025. There is so much information at our disposals by just clicking on a keyboard and actively searching on the internet for whatever it is you want. Consumers are doing the very same thing. You're going to throw some content out there to your clients, to your prospects. They're going to go Google, they're going to go do their research. If they think it's something they're interested in, I mean, we have access to information beyond information. I mean, we now have access to our own patient portals. You can go read medical records. Men are constantly YouTubing. Women are DIYing more and more these days. So we as insurance agents truly do have to start embracing technology. And dare I say AI. And some of you might say, I'm not there. I'm not there. I don't know if I'll ever get there. I don't know. I just don't understand enough. I don't know that you're ever going to understand enough. This stuff it's kind of like when cell phones first became a thing. And the next, you had a bag phone that you couldn't, I mean, the cord wasn't even long enough to lift the phone to your ear without lifting the entire bag off the floorboard of your car. And now we have cell phones changing at such a rapid pace, bringing out all this technology. You can take really professionally grade photos off of an iPhone or off of any cell phone. So You are embracing technology. I just don't know that you'll ever be able to know everything there is about AI. So I kind of want to bring it down to a real manageable working knowledge on how do you do this? How do you contact? How do you prospect? Because quite frankly, you can be the best salesperson in the world, but if you don't have prospects or clients or people to talk to about your great solutions, you're not going to make any sales and you're going to get really, really hungry. So I want to talk to you about a few things. All of us being in the independent brokerage or independent agent space, you can represent whatever insurance company you want. You cannot represent some, you can represent others, you can get contracted with some, don't contract with others. So you have that choice. I will tell you that every insurance company has some level of marketing information that is directed to a consumer. Some do a really fantastic job, and others don't do a very good job at all. So we have to also keep in mind that when we're talking to consumers, right, there's a little bit of a difference for me talking to you as the agent. I can kind of tell you whatever I want. I can back it up with a company brochure. I can do podcasts, I can do webinars, I can host meetings and bring in expert speakers and, really kind of get everybody excited and jazzed about certain things. And it's kind of endless what I'm able to do. But when we go down to the consumer level, you have to be very careful about that. You have to be careful that you don't misrepresent. You have to be careful that you don't say incorrect information. You need to be careful that you're not using fear to incite activity. And if you're in the Medicare Advantage or prescription drug space, you are flat out going to use a script, an approved script that has been filed with the Department of CMS. So we have to be careful about what we put out there for consumers. And I don't say that to make you think that, oh my goodness, there's a reason why I don't do this stuff. It's really not that challenging because I wanted to bring to your attention, for instance, June is Annuity Awareness Month. If you've been tuning into any of the emails that you're getting from Kayla here in our office on annuities, she's actually passing along to you stuff that you can use at the consumer level to talk about different annuity solutions that a lot of times it's just the language, it's just the words that we use to them. It's really interesting when I talk agent to agent. So when I'm talking to one of you, I get to use all these big fancy words and terms and acronyms and be specific and kind of talk really fast. But at a consumer level, you need to draw that back. What we think is the most basic knowledge might not be anything they're aware of. And so kind of peeling everything back to that basic, what I mean by that is you're not dummying it down. It's got to present a value. Nobody wants an insurance pitch. So you have to show the value. And so Kayla's putting out for the Annuity Awareness Month some really good stuff. We can say MIGA all day long. A consumer doesn't know what a MIGA is. They don't know that it's a multi-year guaranteed annuity. They don't even know what that means. So when you can start talking to them in terms of what they're accustomed to hearing, a CD versus an annuity, and dispelling some of the myths around what an annuity is, and more importantly, what it is not, and how that compares to a CD, then it starts to show value to them. They start to understand a little bit better. And so she's got stuff that's going out weekly throughout the month of June. If you've not seen any of it and you're interested, I would encourage you reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with Kayla, because it's just really good information to have. So we've got, and there's several Annuity Awareness Month campaigns. You should take the absolute opportunity to reach out to your clients about those annuity awareness. So you have Annuity Awareness Month, you have Disability Income Awareness Month, hugely undersold product, which is a really important, right? Protecting your paycheck. Long-Term Care Awareness Month, Life Insurance Awareness Month. So there's plenty of those campaigns just to constantly drop. I want to step back from that for a minute and say, I'm going to ask a lot of rhetorical questions because really what I want you all to do, I want you to reflect back on what you're currently doing. And I'm air quoting the word, what are you currently doing to stay in touch with your clients? And then I want to look at what are you doing to get more clients, meaning prospecting. How are you doing that? Some of you might say, look, I get lots and lots of referrals from my existing clients, or I am in a networking group and we refer back and forth and I'm doing that is absolutely fantastic. That is the road to success, right? Where you've gotten to the point where everyone is starting to being referred to you. That's fantastic. But to get to that level, how do you get there? And so with your existing client base, you have to stay in touch. Now, I'm not promoting any one specific company because there are lots out there. I just happen to do, because we also have to do prospecting, right? So I go to national trade shows, put up our booth, and I talk to a bunch of independent agents. Well, there's always this carrier or vendor, I should say, that seems to always end up being right beside us by the name of Levitate. And it's a stay in touch campaign. There are lots of them out there. So again, I'm not promoting one over the other, but if you need a reference point of what I'm talking about, Google the word levitate. What they do is they send out, whether it's text messages, emails, they can show you Facebook posts, Instagram posts. I don't know if you've heard the word buffer, but you can go out and tie all of your social medias together, and for 1 hour on a Sunday afternoon, you can schedule a week, 2 weeks, a month's worth of content to push out to your social media platforms. Because just like I have to reach out to all of you many, many times, I think the actual statistic is 6 to 7 times a person has to be touched before they'll actually take an action on what they've seen. So the whole idea of I'm going to send out an email to my clients and I'm going to hope that I get flooded probably isn't going to be the case. You know, when we start talking about, we used to get calls all the time about, do you guys provide leads? Do you provide leads? You know, there used to be a point in time where we could say, well, we don't provide leads, but we can certainly offer you a discount code to target leads. I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore. Target leads, unless it's been purchased and has a new name, but it's you go out and you're basically buying a name bank, and then they're dropping a mailer, and then you're hoping the return on that, if you get a 0.5%, and of course they're going to tell you that you need to mail thousands to get a 0.5%. 1% is like ridiculously high. So your return on investment, it takes a lot of investment to get that return. And I'm not saying buying leads is a bad thing, because you may have a really good system of getting that done. But most agents that I have spoken with don't want to buy leads because those are not warm. They don't know you from anyone. And quite frankly, everyone is buying the same list. Perfect example is in the Medicare space. There's a thing called T65. It's turning 65. Everybody's getting all of the same names because it's the same number of people turning 65 in a particular zip code. So you're no different than anybody else that's mailing out a postcard saying, hey, do you need help with your Medicare? So how do we try to figure out how to grow that organically? So one, I think you should take advantage of the Awareness Month campaigns. I think that just draws attention not only to your agency, you being broad spectrum in offering many solutions out there to your clients, but also just a way to touch them, because you never know, you may send something out on disability income. They're not interested because they're 62, but their kids are, and they were just talking to their parents over Sunday dinner about buying disability, and there you have it. So it's little things like that. The other thing that I think that we need to think about is embracing technology and how we get that done. So for instance, there are there's a company called ClickFunnels. just like it sounds, click, the word click, and then funnels. So, right when you're out there in the World Wide Web, visualize a funnel, right? It's big at the top, small at the bottom. The idea is to drive all of this activity into this funnel. It's a good thing I'm not on camera because my hands are just moving like crazy. Driving all of this activity to the top of the funnel where it's going to take in bigger numbers, right? But you can't just one time and drop them in the funnel because most people don't hit a funnel and shoot straight down out the bottom, which then would be a lead turns into a sale. Most people are going to swirl that funnel. They're going to ping off the sides of that funnel before they drop down. You're going to have some that get into the funnel and then they just get hung up. They don't go anywhere. They don't make another move. The idea behind ClickFunnels is they get to the top and then they might move to the next level. And then what you're doing is you're constantly managing the content, and they help you do this. Manage the content so that if somebody hits it at a level on the funnel and they do nothing, maybe at that point they get an email with a video. And then they maybe click and they move to the next. And then they move down in and then they start over and then they get a text message, right? The idea is to help them move down the funnel so that they turn into a prospect, they turn into a lead, and then they turn into a client. So filling your funnel is really important, but how do you do that? So you have to have a website or you have to have something that's going to get their attention so that they're clicking. The idea is to click, click, click. I mean, this really isn't anything new. Think about when you're on the internet or you're on Facebook and you see something and you click it. It's not a miracle that all of a sudden the next time you open the email or you open the internet that you have an email from somebody about the exact same thing, or this ad just keeps following you around, right? This is technology. This is what it does. So you don't have to become this gigantic powerhouse in the space of technology. You just have to partner with the right vendors to help you manage this because, again, your business should be working when you're not, because there are people that are night owls and they're up from 11 o'clock until 3 o'clock in the morning, just cruising around the internet, clicking and researching and doing whatever because they can't sleep. Well, your stuff should follow them around. If you ever want, I'll give you a perfect example. Somebody was saying to me, "Oh my goodness, my whole Facebook feed is just blowing up with all of these recipes because I clicked on this one thing." Well, if you want to change your algorithm, you have to start clicking on different things so that your algorithm inside of that just changes. And it just takes a little bit of time for that to happen. What you want to do is become your clients, your community's algorithm. You want them to see you synonymously as the insurance solution shop. Insert your name, right? So embracing the technology to make that happen. I also believe that if there's any women out there, I don't know if you're aware, and men can do this too. I'm just saying if there's women that want to do a women's only type of seminar or a campaign, there are some fantastic, two of them that I can think of specifically. One America has a women's campaign, um, all around extended care planning. Of course, why wouldn't there be? That just makes great sense, right? And then Corebridge on their Retire Stronger. And if you've not been to that website, you need to go out there. It's not password protected. It's retirestronger.com. Then you click, yes, I'm a financial professional. And then you have access to campaigns in a box, emails, mailers, all kinds, napkin presentations. You just need the resources to make filling your funnel successful. And it's really all just about driving activity. And think about a juggler, right? A really successful juggler is not juggling two items, not even three items, right? And I don't want to say anybody can juggle three items because obviously anybody can't, but a good juggler is going to juggle more than 3 items. Now they're going to put in 4, 5, 6 different items that they're juggling at one time. You have to be that as well. You have to throw lots of different things out there to keep them interested and so that they're seeing you as that insurance solution. And it's not nearly as difficult as you think. If you're not working with an FMO or an IMO or a BGA or whatever you call them, your upline that's giving you these resources, and the reason why I say the carriers, it's either going to spark an idea in your mind or it's just going to give you the content. But remember, it's all been consumer approved, which means more than likely it's all been sent to the departments of insurance. They've seen it and they've said, yes, you can use that at the consumer level. So it's approved content, but you should be looking at that. So there is lots of information out there. If you already have a book of business and you don't have a good needs assessment form, you need to go to our website, producersxl.com. We have toolboxes, right? They're meant to be evergreen for life, annuity, long-term care, Medicare, and disability income. All 5 of those toolboxes have this needs assessment form inside of it. You go get it, download it, use it. What it does is it helps you uncover some missing links in your client's insurance portfolio. The one thing I appreciate meeting with my property and casualty agent, I want to know if there's gaps in my coverage. Is there something out there that doesn't mean I'm going to buy it, but if the value is presented to me and I understand the value of what that insurance solution is supposed to do and it makes sense to me, then yes, I'm going to do that because I want to make sure that I don't have gaps in coverage. You're the same way with your clients. You need to make sure, right? So the biggest part of our job is education, overcoming objections, but that number one piece is prospecting. If we don't have a good way to fill our pipeline of prospects and or our clients so that we're constantly out there in front of them, whether that's via mail, whether that's by phone, whether that's by letter, whether that's by postcard, whether that's text message. I will tell you today, working with the agents that I do, I reach them much quicker by text than I do by email, and by far more than I do by trying to call them verbally. You know, it used to be just pick up the phone, call them. They'd rather have a phone call than an email. We all get way too many emails, but that's not even the case anymore. Now it's a quick text, a quick reply, confirming appointments. Hey, did you see that we have a new carrier contract? I mean, all kinds of stuff like that. So there's platforms out there to help you streamline all of this. I want to encourage you to look at all of that out there. So really, the only thing I wanted to share with you on this particular podcast was we just started summer. If things are going to slow down for you a little bit because the staff's taking vacations, you're manning the office, put some thought into your marketing plan. Don't make it overwhelming. Break your year out into the 4 quarters. Think about how you want to target your clients and or prospects. Put together a plan. Call me. I will help you navigate where you can find that content, what that looks like, and how to push that out and how to drive all of that so that you're just constantly in front and filling your pipeline month after month after month so that it just builds up. And then you've got this referral base that you're working from. It takes time to build this. None of this, I think I've found out that there's not a lot of instant gratification. Usually if there's instant gratification, there's an instant request, and it's usually because we have an uninsurable risk. Remember, I work on product lines that require underwriting. So therefore, if they're asking me, I have to ask why. So with that, my phone number is 800-541-6705. Email is Angie@producersxl.com. I would love to help you with your marketing plan, give you some ideas, let you know what I've seen that works, what doesn't work. I appreciate you for joining me on the June podcast on filling your pipeline. I look forward to visiting with all of you next month. Happy selling.